Lo mein is one of my favorite takeout dishes, and it's perfect for the summertime when it's too hot to stand over the stove all day. This recipe can come together in 30 minutes or less. This is steak lo mein. Meet me in the kitchen. Let's make it happen.
I know made noodles to it.
Yeah.
What solid noodles?
Good quality noodles.
You know what? I should have salted the possum water.
And it's the veggies got that nice little bite.
Yeah.
That texture.
All right, folks, first things first, we'll go ahead and prep our veggies. What I love about stir-fry recipes like lo mein or fried rice is that you can clean out your refrigerator. If you have a bunch of vegetables that you need to use up, this is the perfect time to do it. Today we have carrots, we got onion, we got green onion, and we got bell pepper. Feel free to throw things in like mushrooms or bok choy, asparagus, really whatever you have in the pantry is fair game. Jesus. So we're gonna go ahead and peel these carrots, then we're gonna cut them into matchsticks or julienne them roughly. We're gonna add them to our stir fry. You can use whatever protein you like as well. You can do shrimp, you can do chicken, you can just do veggie lo mein if that's your thing. Today we're using steak. Next up we got green and yellow onion. I like to add both, because why the hell not? I'm gonna cut them just a real rough chop. Drop some on the floor too. Gotta give you something to do later, right? You can use the white parts as well. And just a rough chop on the green onion. We're gonna add this to the stir fry also. Now for the yellow onion, you guys have seen me do this a million times. We're gonna leave the root intact. Just cut it right down the middle like so. Peel the skin off. And then we're just gonna cut it into like half moons. Next up, we're gonna use some red and green bell.
And this episode is sponsored by Cafe Casino. Sometimes I need a little break from my normal routine, especially on days when I'm filming back-to-back recipes like I usually am each week. That's where Cafe Casino comes in. They offer so many games, including this one, where you have to build this burger. It's really simple and super fun to play. I can't get enough of it. Whether you're waiting for something to bake or just need a quick escape, this is the perfect way to spend a few minutes to yourself. Dig into fun games and entertainment at Cafe Casino. So if you have a super busy life like me, you know it's important to carve out a little me time, and this is the perfect way to do just that. So what are you waiting for? Visit cafecasino.com today and enjoy. That's www.cafecasino.com.
Bell pepper, again, mostly because that's what I got in the fridge. You want to use whatever veggies you have. This is the perfect recipe to get some veggies in and also clean out the refrigerator. I'm using half of these bell peppers for another recipe, and the other half will be utilized today for this recipe. Nothing goes to waste. Chop the top off, slice around the core, leaving the seeds intact, getting all the usable bell pepper and discarding the stuff that you don't want. All right, guys, next up, we're gonna make our sauce for our lo mein. This is critical when it comes to anything stir-fried. I like to go ahead and make my sauce in a separate bowl rather than add in each individual ingredient while you're over high heat. One, because it's not as efficient when it comes to your timing, but also you can actually make sure it tastes really good before you add it to your food. So we're gonna go ahead and make our sauce here. Getting started with 1/4 cup roughly of chicken broth. You can use vegetable stock or even water. Going in with 1/4 cup of chicken broth, and then a tablespoon or 2 of cornstarch. That's gonna be a thickening agent for the sauce, which is gonna give it that beautiful consistency that sticks to the noodle that you're used to when it comes to lo mein. So in goes the cornstarch, 2 of those. Give that a whisk first, get that well combined in your chicken broth, and then we'll add the rest of our ingredients. Pretty traditional stuff here. One of the things that's probably not traditional that you might be raising your eyebrows is the liquid smoke. The reason why I'm using that is one of the trademark flavors that you get when you order takeout, especially with lo mein, is like that smoky flavor. It's from the high heat they use for the woks. Can't replicate that at home because they've been using that wok probably for 15 years. It's what's called seasoned. But you can kind of replicate it, cheat a little bit with some liquid smoke. So we're going in with a few dashes of that. A little bit goes a long way, guys, so don't go too crazy. A few dashes of liquid smoke, 1 tablespoon of ginger, 1 tablespoon of garlic. We're also going to add a 1/4 teaspoon or a 1/2 teaspoon of sesame oil. Each sesame oil has a different flavor profile. Some are a little bit more powerful than others, so you may be able to go a little heavier. This brand in particular packs a punch, so I usually go with about a quarter to a half a teaspoon. You can go up to a full teaspoon if you want to, but again, be careful because it can be overpowering at times. So we're gonna give that a mix. Next up, let's talk about soy sauce. We have dark mushroom soy sauce and regular soy sauce. Both pretty high in sodium, so I wouldn't go too crazy with any other ingredients that have sodium if you're using these two. Next up, we're going with a tablespoon of soy sauce, preferably low sodium. I don't have any on hand today, so we're going with the real deal. Might even can dial it back a little bit. And then a half tablespoon of this dark mushroom soy sauce. You can find this at pretty much any grocery store right beside the regular soy sauce. Packs a ton of flavor, a little umami. Speaking of umami, we got oyster sauce. We're going with 2 tablespoons of that. If you have a shellfish allergy, make sure you read the label because a lot of these actually have oyster in it. It's not really taste like seafood, but it gives that umami flavor that you like with Asian takeout. So my shellfish allergy folks, make sure you take a peek at the label to ensure you're safe to proceed. And then last but not least, we're gonna add a little MSG to the party in the form of chicken bouillon powder. Feel free to use whatever your favorite MSG vessel is. This is what I always have on deck, so that's what we're using today. And then we're just gonna give this a mix, taste it, make sure it's spot on, and this is gonna be the flavoring liquid for our lo mein. All right, guys, today we're doing steak lo mein, and the steak we have today is an absolute beauty. This is called the Denver steak, which comes from underneath the chuck roast. Honestly, it's basically a boneless short rib cut from the same area. We're gonna go ahead and shave this relatively thin, not like cheesesteak thin, but thin enough that we can, pan sear it and get it incorporated nicely into our lo mein. Nice and fatty. You can see the white lines of fat throughout the steak. Indicates a good fat content, good marbling, which is going to have tremendous flavor. You want to try to cut against the grain the best you can. That'll make it, a little bit more tender to the bite, less chewy. You also, pro tip, you want to put this in the freezer for a little bit before you start cutting it. It just makes it a little bit easier on you. But if you got a nice sharp knife like this one from mrmakeithappen.com, you don't have to worry about all that. That knife will get the job done for you. So when it comes to the seasoning, we're keeping it real simple. You could just go salt and pepper if you want, or your favorite all-purpose seasoning. I'm going to use mine. My AP, aka all-purpose, has a little salt, pepper, garlic, onion powder. Great foundational base layer of flavor for pretty much anything, especially the beef that we're using today. Nice light application. This is also low sodium, so you don't have to worry about being a little bit heavy-handed if you want to, but we're gonna get some flavor in there. And again, you don't want to go too crazy because that sauce that we made is plenty flavorful. So just get in there with your hands, give that a good mix, make sure it's well seasoned, and we're ready to cook. Once we've cooked our lo mein noodles for 4 minutes per package instructions, we're gonna go ahead and strain that off and get started on our steak. For that, we need a skillet warmed over medium-high heat, a little avocado. We're gonna go ahead and get this steak on in there. Give it a little bit of breathing room. You want to develop a little bit of color here. This is one of the things that you can do at home that makes a big difference versus takeout, is you can actually sear the steak, get some crust, some texture, some flavor. All right, while the skillet's still hot, we went ahead and turned the heat off, but it's still nice and hot. We're gonna go ahead and add in the veggies. I guess not as hot as I thought it was. Go ahead and turn the heat back on. You just want to make sure you don't scorch the veggies or burn yourself. Just try to get up all that fondant flavor off the bottom of the skillet. You can do this in a wok too if you're comfortable with that. I like this because it's got a wide surface area, but feel free to use whatever you have at home. Increase the heat a bit. We're going to season the veggies just a touch because I can remember plenty of seasoning in that sauce, but we're still going to add a little bit just to make sure you're seasoning all the way through. Season as you go, taste as you go, adjust the flavors to your preference. That's what it's all about. Got all that steak flavor in there from the fat rendering and some of the charred bits of the steak. Looking good so far, smelling good. Just layering in flavor as we go. Once the veggies get a little bit tender, we're gonna go ahead and add in this sauce, but you wanna give them a head start. All right, so over medium heat, our veggies are starting to get nice and tender. Now it's time to add in that sauce. No flavor left behind. Make sure you get it all out of there. Let's give that a good mix. And then we're going to add in our pre-cooked lo mein. Immediately smelling good. And go the lo mein noodles. Now, my friends, we're gonna go ahead and plate this up family style. This is the part where I say, brace yourself for a trademark money shot. Say it with me, guys, looking good. The only thing left to do is find my chopsticks and dig in for the taste test. But before we do that, please take a quick second to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that bell to enable notifications as well. All right, folks, chopsticks have been found. The noodles are looking good. Gotta get a steak bite though, come on now. There it is. Save myself the slurp on camera embarrassment. Here we go.